Ah, it's happening. Get to the happening bunker. The FISA report. It's finally here. Or, well, in a few days. Like a week. A little more than that. This is a report by Fox News, but I mean, you can go anywhere. There's Daily Wire, there's CNN, there's all of them. I've mentioned it at some point, but they all have different opinions. Obviously, this one, the only reason I bring it up a little bit more is because the little extra uh, Fox added on that I think is a good little point. So we'll read the first 2 or 3 paragraphs and talk about it some more. But the big news is long reported FISA report. If you're cutting the video out in a minute, is it's coming out on December 9th, and from all reports, it's going to be big news. Now, before I even start reading, it's probably going to be big news. But as we all would know with big news, it's normally delegated, as you can see, to lower level FBI agents. So what's probably going to happen is there's a lot of connections that can go on and should lead to arrests of higher ranking individuals, but it's going to be actually done by the lower ranking officials and won't even reach that far. And most of these people have been fired, uh, and it's going to be tenuous at best to attach these FBI agents to their upper management and to Democrats who pressured them into looking into Donald Trump's campaign, things like that. So we will see. From all accounts, there's big news apparently. So hopefully there's more than this. From what this guy is saying, what Mr. Horowitz is reporting, this is big, but it's got to be bigger than this. It's got to be something else, or they don't have much. They're gonna lock up one guy, and that'll be the end of it. But from what we've seen so far, um, where they say there's smoke, there's fire. This isn't smoke. This is like this is a burned down building, and it's not just one guy acting alone. There's no reason this guy would do this by himself, or maybe there is. Let's read. We'll talk about it. Horowitz reportedly finds FBI lawyer falsified FISA document. WAPO stealth deletes Strozuk connection. I don't know how to pronounce that name. It's a Russian name, I think. This is by Mr. Greg Ree. Justice Department Inspector General Mike Horowitz has found evidence that an FBI lawyer manipulated a key investigative document related to FBI secret surveillance of former Trump campaign advisor enough to change the substantive meaning of the document, according to multiple reports. And this is big news. This isn't one or two little things changed. They changed it enough to where they changed the meaning of a document, and that's big because it can go from nothing to a conspiracy, things like that, real fast. And a lot of times, one document is all it takes to indict somebody, which is how it can go from Trump mentioning Russia in an email to Trump colluding with Putin directly in an email, real fast. The show-stopping development comes as Senate Judiciary Committee Chairman Lindsey Graham told Fox News that Horowitz's comprehensive report on the allegations of Foreign Investigative Service Act, the FISA warrant, abuse against former Trump aide Carter Page will be released December 9th. He said that's locked. So we've got an official date. And that's big. Man, they've been rumoring this. I've seen people rumoring it for months. End of October, then it got pushed back to November. Maybe it's stuff like this. Maybe they're finding more and more tidbits as they go, and they keep pushing it back because they want to be sure, which I'm not sure if that affects how legally they do stuff, if it's got to be behind the scenes before they can start investigating, like if they put it in the public eye, all of a sudden they can't add to it, things like that. Maybe I think that what they're trying to do is make this so locked tight. They've got it. They've got somebody. Maybe they're not going to get everything they want. Maybe they're aiming for a certain Democrat, or they're trying to link this to Obama, or maybe they're trying to link this to the FBI head, and they're trying to make sure that's locked tight because that's who was doing it, and they want to be sure before they go ahead with it. I'm not sure, but It's big news that's coming out on the 9th, and we'll see what it says. There's going to be a lot of digging, and you can be sure the first 2 hours on whatever, pick your website, 4chan or Reddit or wherever, is going to be exploding with all kinds of details from it. I'm just going to read this last little part. The new evidence concerning the altered document, which pertained to the FBI's FISA court warrant application to surveil Page, is expected to be outlined in Horowitz' upcoming report. CNN first reported the news, which was largely confirmed by the Washington Post. But the Post, hours after publishing its story, conspicuously removed portion of his reporting that FBI employee involved worked beneath Peter Strzok, the FBI's since fired head of counterintelligence. The Post did not offer an explanation for the change, which occurred shortly after midnight. Earlier this week, DOJ highlighted a slew of anti-Trump text messages sent by Strzok when he was leading the Hillary Clinton email probe into Trump's investigation and a probe into Trump's campaign. The person under scrutiny has not been identified, has not been identified, but is not a high-ranking official, they say. So he was working below Peter, and that's essentially it. Obviously, as I said before, they don't have big connections right now, but as you can see here, it's clear. There's obviously, he's getting a bias from somewhere. So this guy had a reason to change the email. No regular employee goes around doing this kind of stuff. That costs you your job. That can get you not only your job, get put in jail, huge fines, get your whole department screwed. You ruin your life for this kind of things. So this didn't come from just this one guy. And as we can tell by all the text messages and emails and stuff we've got by Mr. Peter Strzok, we can tell that he didn't like Trump, and it was very obvious. It was very obvious that he was defending Hillary, and it was very, very obvious that he had an axe to grind against the Trump campaign. So we're going to see where this goes further. I really hope that they've got more than this on him, because, like I said, it's tenuous at best, this connection here, but this is the people you want to get after. Obviously, he's been fired already, and he isn't leading the FBI, but people are still left behind. I'm not sure if the person who originally changed the email document is still involved. That'll be good to know. Obviously, that could lead to him being arrested or whatever, and still can. But it shows that these people, even though we got some of these people fired and they got out of there, Trump cleared up who he could, these people are still there. And it's people who are ingrained, who are loyal to other administrations. And this is worries about the FBI that have been going back since the FBI was created. The fact that they're loyal to nobody. It's the same thing with the CIA. These people are not loyal to the country. They're loyal to, or they're not loyal to the government as a whole. They're not looking out for the best interests of them. They can be looking out for themselves, or they can be looking out for a political position, or they can be turned into that. And it's not necessarily the whole FBI. There's good people in it. I know people personally, through friends, and I trust these people that they're normal people who are trying to do good work. But there's also these kind of people who get stuck on these, because obviously the whole FBI isn't working on the same thing. The whole FBI does not just go looking at just the Trump campaign. There's tons of branches. There's some people looking at terrorist cells or potential terror attacks, things like that. They're investigating individuals. They're following up on police reports that may involve them, things like that. There's tons of people who, even if they have a bias, it never comes into play because it doesn't matter. It's whenever you've got a head of the FBI who's got something against the president or against a certain political party, like Mr. Peter here did, and then he can assign who he wants to those kind of probes or those kind of the Hillary investigation. He can assign who he wants to those and then tell them how to look at it or how to guide it or how to frame it. That's why a lot of people have a problem with the way Schiff is directing the impeachment inquiry. He can assign who he wants. He can bring up the witnesses he wants. He clearly, from the get-go, was trying to indict the president. He's trying to make him or trying to get him impeached 100% and removed from office. He isn't coming up. He's not coming to this as a impartial person or a prosecutor who has no particular interest in this. He's 100% trying to gain from this, whether it's raising his own name or his party. This man isn't objective in any way. So he knows what he wants, and it's clear from other videos I'm going to make. I'll show of him doing stuff like running out mid report or mid interview of a witness to say that we've got him, that Trump, we finally found the smoking gun, things like that. And it's clear he's not impartial. And this is the same thing for when it's directors of FBI, and they can guide the people how they want, and they don't have anybody overlooking them. It's the same thing with the CIA, and it's clear these people, you can say that these people all have good intentions, but it's not true. It's the same. It's the reason why things like 9/11 could ever happen, where these people aren't being overlooked. They're not having oversight. They're not working together. They have certain political positions, or they're against certain ones, and they butt heads. It shows that these people are not just looking out for the American people. Sometimes they're looking out for themselves and other things like that. They can ignore certain things they don't want to look at. They don't want to give credit to the other departments because it may make them look bad, or it may give them a leg up, so things can flow through the cracks, just like happened on 9/11. And all of a sudden, we've got a big attack, even though there's hundreds of warnings. It's not a direct correlation to what's happening now, but it shows that there's animosity between departments, and it's kind of the way that the old police departments used to work before you could communicate with them freely. And people from Alabama hated working with cops from Mississippi, or police from New Orleans hated working with somebody from Baton Rouge, the two cities nearby, and they'd butt heads, and they didn't want to bring criminals over the city line or across state lines, stuff like that, and they'd fight over it. It's the same kind of thing, but it's more political, and this is a deeper rooted problem where somebody who has no oversight in the FBI, who doesn't answer anybody but the president himself, and sometimes doesn't even have to do that, is leading a campaign against him. So that was, like I said, that was the worry with the FBI and the CIA from the time they were created, that they would become their own entities who would try not to answer to the government themselves and try and run the government secretly, or they would try and impose their will upon candidates or the president or representatives, things like that, and they could just do whatever they wanted, and they'd become their own rogue state government. Anyway, I am rambling hard. We will see what happens on the 9th, and let me know what you think. Let me know where you think this is going to go with the whole FISA report. This is big news again, no matter how you slice it. All right, thank you.